Hi everyone. As they mentioned, I'm going to give my presentation in English. So a little brief background on myself. I'm from New Jersey, born and raised. Oh, by the way, I love these little memes, so they're scattered throughout the presentation. Hopefully the humor transfers, I'm not really sure. But if you know Office Space, you'll know this meme. But anyway, born in New Jersey, I attended Boston College and been working in New York for 4 years. And since last June, I've been traveling with this program, Remote Year, traveling around the world for 1 year. And we spend 1 month living in 12 different cities in 12 different countries. So every month we're moving, and we've just arrived in Buenos Aires a few weeks ago, and we will be here until March 5th. So as you can see here, we started in Europe, traveled through Czech Republic, Slovenia, Croatia, Turkey. Did Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, and now we've just started South America. We've came from Kyoto, and we're starting here in Buenos Aires and moving to Uruguay, Chile, and then Peru. So during my travels and having now experienced a lot of different cultures, different people, the question that was brought to mind for me when I saw this post come up was, are ethics universal? Similar to, I believe, your conversation is different things, whether it's our cultural values, religion, laws, shape what I think we believe are ethical. But is there something deeper? Is our ethics universal? And is the question of ethics something everyone should understand? So when we think about ethics, we are approximately asking, how do we decide what is right and what is wrong? And what tells us what is right and what is wrong can be different, and there's a lot of different values around that. So let's start with a simple question. Is it ethical, morally good or correct, to take a life, to kill someone or commit suicide? Or in the example of this little gangster baby, would it be ethical for him to kill Humpty Dumpty for telling on him? Show of hands. Who thinks it's ethical to kill someone? No. That's what I would hope, right? However, interestingly, laws and cultures would say that it is acceptable. About 44% of the 196 countries that are in the UN or have observer status in the UN have laws that accept capital punishment, killing someone, as legal and fair. In 2014, China executed over 1,000 people. In 2013, there were public executions in North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Somalia. People are still killed for nonviolent crimes throughout the world. And interestingly enough, the US is only one of 2 states in all of the Americas who still accepts capital punishment. Argentina abolished capital punishment a long time ago. So good job, guys. In Japan, when you think about suicide, last year, or in 2014, on average, 70 people committed suicide every day in Japan. It's not a very big country, so that's a rather huge number. But they have a long history of what they would consider honorable suicide. So ritual suicide by samurais in World War II, the kamikaze missions, and charging into an enemy fearlessly to prevent bringing shame to your family were considered reasonable forms of committing suicide and totally acceptable. So today, it's understandable that maybe they have more tolerant perspective towards suicide. The last question I ask here is, what about you? What if you commit suicide to save a friend? The proverbial, I will take a bullet for you. In that case, is it ethical? I don't know. What about religion, right? And many times in difficult situations, we turn to whoever it might be for you, God, Jesus, your religious background, in difficult times like this little baby who believes he's about to crash his toy car. So you would think that in most religions around the world, where this makes up about, these 5 religions make up, I think it's about 65% of the world population, almost all of them say violence is basically a no-go. Shouldn't do it, right? Ahimsa in Hinduism, Buddhism, nonviolence towards everything. Judaism, Christianity, thou shalt not kill, or the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would want done to yourself. So naturally, you wouldn't want to kill someone. And in Islam, there's this concept of jihad, which has been perverted in modern times, but it's about building community and preserving the Muslim faith. However, holy wars, anybody? Right? Throughout history, every religion of every major part of society has committed or undergone some sort of holy war in preservation of the religion, killing millions of people. And even today, Palestine, Israel, and the war in the Middle East, this issue rages on. So again, is it right? Who knows? So the question is, do law, culture, and religion matter? Is there an actual, universal guidance for what is right and wrong? So this is Socrates, and this is Immanuel Kant, who are famous philosophers. Something about them being in a club is kind of funny, and I don't know. I thought this was an interesting picture. I'm sorry, ancient Greeks. I'm sorry. I offended somebody. We'll give that a moment. So they had all different perspectives on what would be considered a universal ethical imperative, right? So you have ancient Greeks who said that virtue is what makes something ethical. So the character of the person will define whether something is ethical or not. You have what they call consequentialists, which are saying that the results of whatever you do is what makes it ethical. So the outcome, the ends justify the means, basically. Then you have duty, so the act itself being the ethical part, the ethical driver. And so virtue here, you can read, it's basically, it was about education and knowledge and the fact that you would just know what is right. That was their kind of argument, which is standard in ancient Greeks. You would just know what is right. And this one, for Aristotle, is one of my favorites. It's this concept of moderation, that all virtues are the middle ground of otherwise two extreme perspectives. So courage is the middle of being a coward and just being reckless. And courage, in its definition, is having the willingness to do something when it scares you, right? So I think finding that virtue is an interesting place. Jeremy Bentham, for consequences, this is the most famous, is utilitarianism, which is the greatest outcome for the greatest good, right? If what you do produces a positive effect for the most people, then it is universally moral and ethical, right? That's the basic idea. And then this last one is interesting because this is it gets real deep, but it's about this concept of duty and acting from a place of duty and being able to do something in a perfect way. So the best way that the example that they give is on lying. So Kant believed that people have a perfect duty to tell the truth and that we must never lie, even if it seems that lying would bring about better consequences than telling the truth, because telling the truth is the most ethical, perfect duty that you could pursue. So these are some options for maybe something that would argue ethics are universal. So then I ask you, what about you? How do you think about your ethics? How do you think about your life? Much like this baby is shocked to find out that spoons don't sound like airplanes, you might be surprised when you reflect on your own ethics and your own beliefs and see what is there and what's driving them. So how heavy has your law or religion changed your ethics? What defines an ethical or moral act for you, and why? And do you believe ethics are universal? There's a single imperative. Or do you believe they're relative, kind of like the cultural norms would tell you? So in the end, the ultimate challenge that I pose to all of you is explore the reasons underlying the beliefs that are different from your own, while challenging yourself to examine your reasons for the beliefs and values that you hold. There you go. Thank you.